Dear students, welcome to my channel School Success. This video is about part 2 of chapter 3 of History, Civilizations and Cities. So in this part, I'll be covering features of civilization and in which today we'll be learning about the town planning of Indus Valley Civilization. So let's get started. In the ancient world, no other civilization has shown as much advancement as Indus Valley civilization. So it was an advanced civilization, right? How can we say that the civilization was advanced? Number one, the cities of this civilizations, they were well developed urban centers. Cities of the civilization were well-developed urban centers. Number two, the buildings were made up of stones and burnt bricks. The buildings were made up of stones and burnt bricks. Number three, this civilization is known for its spectacular city planning and efficiency. Spectacular city planning and efficiency. So, due to these reasons, the Indus Valley civilization was known as a very advanced civilization. Now, let's come to the topic town planning. So, when we talk about the cities of Indus Valley civilization, they were well planned, as we studied above. Many cities they were divided into two parts. One is called Lower Town and another was called Upper Town. Upper Town and Lower Town. So there was a place called Citadel, which was the upper part to the west, and it was smaller and higher. And this used to have some special buildings. So the upper part to the west, it was smaller and higher, and this was the citadel where some special buildings were located. The part to the east, it was bigger and lower, and this was called the lower town. This lower town was laid in a grid pattern, and it had houses, straight roads, and proper sanitation system. So, in the town planning of Indus Valley civilization, the cities were well planned and many cities were divided into upper town and lower town. Usually, The upper part to the west, it was smaller and higher, and this was known as citadel. And it had some special buildings in this portion of the city. The part to the east, it was bigger and lower, and this was the lower town, which was laid in a grid pattern with houses, straight roads, and proper sanitation system. Now let's cover both upper town and lower town one by one. So in town planning, we are first talking about special buildings. And they were where? They were located in upper town, right? So in Mohenjo-daro, the largest building was a granary. The largest building was a granary. And this granary, it was used for storing surplus grain. And the archaeologists found six granaries at Harappa. So just look here. This is the citadel and this is the lower town. And the citadel is smaller and higher, and it is having some special buildings. Whereas the lower town, it was bigger and lower, and it was laid down in a grid pattern. Can you see the grid pattern in the lower town? So it had houses, straight roads, and proper sanitation system. Fine. This is the granary which I was talking about. So this is the largest building in Mohenjo-daro, and it was called granary, and it was used for storing surplus grains. This is another well-known structure at Mohenjo-daro, which is called the Great Bath. So, as you can see, it is a rectangular structure and it resembles like a swimming pool. And people used it for religious purposes. Great Bath. And it was also located at Mohenjo-daro. It had a rectangular structure. It resembled that of a swimming pool, and people used it for religious purposes. So another large building nearby, it was probably used as a town hall. So in town hall, the residents of the city gathered for taking some important decisions. And this was also known as assembly hall, town hall or assembly hall. So it was probably used by the residents of the city for gatherings, and they might be using it to take some important decisions. So other cities like Kalibangan and Lothal, Earlier, we talked about Mohenjo-daro. So, other cities like Kalibangan and Lothal, they had fire altars. So, what used to happen there? Sacrifices were performed at this place. So, this was about the special buildings. Another special building was fire altars. So just have a look at the assembly hall. So this assembly hall is also known as town hall, and it was used for gatherings to take some important decisions. Then see the map here at Roman numeral 4, you can see Kalibangan, right? So at number 10, you can see Lothal, right? So these cities, Lothal is in Gujarat. So these cities, they had fire altars. These are the Harappan sites. And this is the picture of fire altars where the people used to perform sacrifices, right? So we talked about Citadel and its important buildings. Now let's talk about the lower town. So this is Citadel, this is Lower Town, the grade light structure, Lower Town, which is having the residential area. The Lower Town. So in the Lower Town, mainly the residential buildings or houses, these were found. These residential buildings or houses, they suggested detailed architectural planning. Detailed architectural planning. So they were either one or two-story high and were built by baked bricks. Right, so here in the lower town, in the residential buildings, if there were individual houses, they had one or more rooms, and each house had a bathing area and also a place for cooking. So cooking area was also there, right? And most of the houses, they had well, they had kitchen, they had a circular oven and mortar and pestle for grinding spices. Moreover, the houses had drain pipes, and these drain pipes were connected to the main drain. So that was about the lower town. So it consisted of residential buildings or houses which had a detailed architectural planning. They were either one or two story high and they were built of baked bricks. The individual houses had one or more rooms, and each house had a bathing area and a place for cooking. The houses, in most of the households, you could see well, kitchen, circular oven, mortar and pestle for grinding spices. And the houses had drain pipes, which were connected to the main drain. Now let's study about the drains and drainage system of that time. So the drainage system of Harappan sites was one of the best in ancient times, right? So the drains they were constructed on either sides of the road, and even the kitchens and bathrooms they had drains that were connected to the street drain, and they were covered with slabs of stones, which could be removed to clean them. So, since the slabs they were covered with slabs of stones, the drains were covered. So, inspection holes were provided at intervals. Inspection holes were provided at intervals by to clean them. So, such a well-planned drainage system, it tells us that the people of Indus Valley Civilization, they were very particular, they were very careful about their health and sanitation. Another important component of the town planning was streets. So the roads that were laid at Harappa, they were based on grid system, and the streets were oriented east to west. The streets were oriented east to west. The roads, they run parallel to each other, and they cut at right angles by smaller roads. These roads, they were paved with burnt bricks and were rounded off at corners so that the cart traffic, it could flow smoothly. So in this video, we learned the features of Indus Valley Civilization, in which we covered town planning. So, the Indus Valley Civilization was an advanced civilization Why? Because the cities were well-developed urban centers, the buildings were made of stones and burnt bricks, and the civilization was known for its spectacular city planning and efficiency. If we talk about the town planning of that times, then the cities of Indus Valley were well planned. Many cities were divided into two parts, the upper town and lower town. Usually the part to the west that was smaller and higher, and this was called citadel, where some special buildings were located. So what basically is citadel? It is a fort-like structure. It is a fort-like structure and it is built on the raised ground and it had some important buildings built at that place. So Citadel was a place where some special buildings were located, and the part to the east was bigger and lower, and this was called the lower town, which was laid out in a grid pattern with houses, straight roads, and proper sanitation. Then, if we go for the features of town planning, basically, so first is special buildings. Then second, we have the lower town. First is special buildings where citadel we call that. Second is the lower town. Third is the drains and drainage system. Fourth is the streets that were made at those times. Right, so in the upper town where the special buildings were located in Mohenjo-daro, the largest building was a granary. And these granaries, they were used for storing surplus grains, and six granaries have been found at Harappa. Then another well-known structure at Mohenjo-daro is the Great Bath. It is a rectangular structure resembling a swimming pool, and people used it for religious purposes. Another building nearby was probably used as a town hall where residents of the city gathered. And this assembly hall was used for taking important decisions. The other cities, other than Mohenjo-daro, like Kalibangan and Lothal, they had fire altars where sacrifices may have been performed. Then, second important thing of town planning was the lower town, and here the residential buildings or houses have been found. The houses suggest a detailed architectural planning. They were either one or two story high and they were built of baked bricks. The individual houses had one or more rooms, and each house had a bathing area and a place for cooking. So most of the houses had well kitchen, circular oven, mortar and pestle for grinding spices. The houses also had drain pipes which were connected to the main drain. Then the third important feature of town planning was drains and drainage. So the drainage system of Harappan cities, it was one of the best in the ancient times. And drains, they were constructed on either sides of the roads. And the kitchens and bathrooms also had drains that were connected to the street drains. And the street and these drains were covered with slabs of stones that could be removed to clean them. Since the drains were covered, inspection holes were provided at intervals to clean them. So, such well-planned drainage system tells us that the Indus Valley people, they were particular and careful about health and sanitation. Then fourth important aspect of the town planning was streets. The roads that were laid at Harappa, they were based on grid system. The streets were oriented from east to west. The roads run parallel to each other, and they were cut at right angles by smaller roads. They were paved with burnt bricks, and they were rounded off at corners, allowing the the cart traffic to flow smoothly. So, the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro, it is one of the iconic monuments of Indus Valley Civilization. So, the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro is one of the iconic movements or monuments of Indus Valley Civilization. And excavations have been carried out at Rakhigadi, which is in Haryana, which was discovered in 1963, and it is one of the largest Harappan sites in India. One of the largest Harappan sites in India. So you can check here Rakhigadi, which is one of the largest Harappan sites in India. So students, this was uh, about this video where we covered town planning of Indus Valley Civilization. In the next video, I'll be covering the Harappan life, in which I'll be telling you about the social life, clothes, occupation, trades, seals, and faiths and beliefs of Indus Valley Civilization. So, see you next time. Do not forget to like and subscribe my channel. Thank you for listening.